Hey guys, so coming back. This has sat for quite some time, just to be honest with y'all. But what we're going to do is we are going to do a dry run of putting this together, and then we are going to glue it together. So, all that fun of putting this together. We'll see how it goes and go from there. Let's see, I'm probably going to need my Dremel, which I hope it's charged. I hope. And I was looking for my deburring tool, but I do not see it where it should be, which is rather odd. Odd. Well, we might just be using our Dremel, okay, good. It's got a charge on it, so that's good. Let me just look at this one more time, make sure that I'm not just being blind. I'm going to fix my chair too, because the little bottom part that goes into the bottom of the chair came off, and now I'm teetering oddly. Okay, so it should be in this, but all I can figure is I must have used it and not put it back. It's not totally unheard of, because it is definitely not there. Okay, well, we're just going to roll with it. I am in the process of, I should say, cleaning my craft area, and my guess is I used it, didn't put it back, and now it's been probably shimmied and moved 10,000 times, and I'm not seeing it in all the spots that I would expect it to be, kind of thing. So, yeah, I was like looking on my desk, I'm like, surely it's here, but I don't see it anywhere. So my guess, honestly speaking, is that it could be anywhere. So, we'll just use our Dremel. If we have anything that's like super sharp, we'll just clean that up. So this is pretty sharp. So I'm going to go ahead and just do a little clean up on the edge here. I'm doing medium speed so that we can get that. Oh yeah, that's much better. And if we have anywhere when this gets all put together that looks too roughed up or something, if it's on the outside, we'll put a thin layer of UV resin on it, and it will clean that right up. Okay. This one definitely has some rough spots. This tool is a game changer, because it does just knock out, like if you have any lips on it basically, and sharp edges, it's gonna knock those out. Okay. Oh yeah, like this one has a really decent lip here, so. And there's a hole there, if that's noticeable, which it probably will be. We'll fill it with some UV resin. I probably should have taken my silicone mat off of here, but it's okay. The only thing you want to be careful of is, like, I went up a little bit too high, and now I have, like, this scotch all the way here. I probably have to do a UV resin on it, but I'm trying to not hyper focus and stress too much on that. Okay, let's see. So it's like just a little bit. Nothing like super major, and if this doesn't turn out to be our lid, if that one does, then it will be all glued in. Just depends on which one becomes our lid. So we may do a little bit more depending on which one I like better for the lid. I'm going to have to make decisions, y'all. If which one's the lid, and which one won't be seen as much because it's on the inside. Okay, last one. Definitely has some lipping and sharp edges there, so. I have a big old bubble here. We'll just see how that plays out once we glue it, and then we'll adjust what we need to. It's kind of one of those things, you're going to just, each one is going to be, it's different. You're never going to get one the same. But then also it's not going to be, like if you do one of these, you may not have to clean up like where I cleaned up, because it's going to be different. And then I just have a paper towel and I'm just kind of rubbing it. The biggest thing you got to be careful with resin is if you have bubbles or sharp spots, you could slice yourself and that would be really painful. So be careful. It can be very, very, very sharp. Okay. So we should be pretty well done with dremeling with this part. And so forth. So I'm going to put the Dremel to the side. Oops, I just pulled the, so much dust. Just pulled the sander piece off of it, and then I just had a thought. Well, there's my deburring extra parts, but not the tool. Glad they didn't move. Now I just got to find my tool sometime. Maybe as a cleanup I will. I'm going to use my leveling tray here to work off of, but I am going to put down, this is just a Dollar Tree silicone mat. I'm going to just put it down so that I don't get glue on it, on my leveling tray. And I'm trying to get comfy in this spot, but I'm struggling, y'all, struggling. Alright, now to decide which one I like better. I think I like this one. I'm leaning towards this one. I like them both, but I think this is going to be our lid. So then we need to basically, this is going to slide in. I wonder if we want to do it this way. So that the bottom on the inside is like that. Yeah. Yes, yes, yes. Yes, yes, yes. Okay. That's pretty good, right? I don't know how these end pieces per se go. I'm like, does that then go on top so that your top piece can slide in and then to the back? I think so. That's how I'm going to do it. Alright, y'all. Well, nothing like trying something for the first time on video. So I have some E6000 glue. I found that I like these small packs because that way they just don't get dried out as quick. And I don't have the metal tube like bust open on me like I do on the big ones. And I'm basically just gonna put a little bit on here, and then I'm gonna get a tool and spread that around, a silicone tool. Because a silicone tool we can clean up pretty easily. So this is just a silicone brush. And what I'm trying to do is I just want to get as much of this glue spread around inside of this groove. And I may need to add more, which does look like I do. But I wasn't sure how much we were going to need. So I didn't want to go too much. I was like, I can always add. Taking away is a lot harder. And basically, what I'm trying to accomplish is to get the glue down in this groove. Glue in the groove. And then we're going to put this piece in. Oh, don't put your fingers in it. Essentially, I don't know if I want to slide it per se, because then we'll just slide all of our glue out of there, and I don't want to do that. Okay. And then I just want to make sure that it's essentially in there and not hanging off of any of the edges. But you know what I did? No, we're good. We're good. I just had a moment of, goodness gracious, I did this wrong. Don't mind me. You know, when you're piecing together something, sometimes it's just like you're thinking about it and then you start overthinking it. And that's exactly what I was doing. I was overthinking. It's all good. It's all good. Alright. I'm just wiping off the extra glue that's come up, just so that it's not sitting on there. Plus, giving it just enough so that it does fill in the crease is perfect. So, I'll probably do the same. This is going to be the bottom side on this side, so I'm not overly worried about this side necessarily. But I do want to just kind of clean it up, essentially. Okay. Let's put this one on the bottom because it's got the most bubbles in it. So, same concept. We're going to fill in our groove with our glue. E6000 glue does have some work time, but with my lights in here, and I had the heater going before I sat down just so that I wasn't freezing in this space because it is really cold outside. I can tell that glue is getting really tacky, quicker than normally would. So just kind of pay attention to what you have going and make sure that you work accordingly, because once that glue sticks, it should, in theory, hold up pretty good. And again, just taking your excess off so that we're gonna have to fill that hole for sure. Okay. I just realized I wiped back there, but what the excess would be is underneath. So, wiping back there did us absolutely no good. Tee-hee-hee. You know, sometimes you go, oh, yeah. Duh. Okay. I think we are as good as we are going to get with that. Now, I'm being careful to not let those like pull themselves together too much. And then, because I have a really funky corner here, I'm going to make that be my back so that that is hidden and such. This one's really pretty, so that would be the front, essentially. Yeah, you don't want to do that. Okay. But I might have to do this as the front. Yep. Because of the way I put my base down there. Okay. Cool, cool. Cool, cool. It's all good. We're okay. We'll be okay. So we'll just have to work with that corner. I'll probably have to grind it a little bit more and so forth. Okay, so since we know this is going to be our front and this groove is going to fit there, I'm going to fill it in. Get in the groove. That brush is perfect for this. Oh, and I'm going to put glue on the inside of this because these edges are going to get it. Not going all the way to the top where we have a groove there. And let's see. Bring this together as well as we can. There we go. I need to push this one side up just a smidge so that it could go. I wish I had like a big old clamp that could go right here and just hold these two sides together and hold that in. I'm trying to think if my husband has something that would work, but I don't think he does for what I'm wanting. You don't want anything too hard because you don't want something given too much pressure. So I'm just going to hold it for a couple moments, hope that that like helps that seal. And then we'll probably put some UV resin in, just like little dots, just to help fill in those gaps and such, is my thinking. Sometimes with the E6000 glue, you could put a little bit of hot glue in, but I felt like by the time I did that, what I'll probably do is I'll get some rubber bands and go around it when we're set. Okay, so then this one is going to actually sit down here at the end like so, because this has to be able to slide all the way through and to that end for it to close. So that's the idea. Okay, we have a lot of glue pooling in this one corner. So before I glue that, I'm going to clean up our inside just a smidge, since it's pooling there. And then of course, by doing so, this guy shifted and we picked up some extra resin we didn't need. It was just a piece of resin. Okay. Yeah, rubber bands are going to be our best friend. Glad I thought of that. I have some. They're just not ironically in my craft space. Yep. Okay. But I want to get this one on. Okay. So for this one, I'm going to just apply the resin directly to my 3 sides that I need. That way, where it needs to go, I'm not worried about where it's aligning with the bigger pieces. Basically. And I'm just trying to align that up as best as possible. Like so. Yep. Okay. So I think that pretty well does this piece. So I am going to pause the video, go grab some rubber bands, and then we'll come back and we'll get this kind of shimmy to where it can set overnight. Hold on. Okay, back with rubber bands. This mystery with my deburring tool is going to drive me crazy, by the way. I'm going to have to pray to St. Anthony to come together and help me find my deburring tool. Like Mr. St. Anthony. My grandma says she's got him on her speed dial. But I will tell you, typically, if I say St. Anthony, I need help finding something, I typically find it within about 24 or so hours. It's pretty amazing how quickly he comes through for me. Sometimes he's quicker than others, but I always feel like he comes through when you need him most. Oh, okay. Well, we sliced that rubber band with the resin. Sharp edges. Clearly. And this is what I was worried about. It's trying to bend these out of position. Just trying to get the right amount of pressure where we need it. But that is almost too tight. Okay. This is the thing with doing this for the first time. Let's try a little bit bigger rubber band and maybe a spot that's not as pressure pointed. Oh. Like, get it together. Oh, barely could get that rubber band picked up. Gracious. Gracious almighty. Okay. I don't know, y'all. Wish me well here. I'm a little worried it's going to go flying at me. But I think we got it. Now, I'm wondering and hoping that I don't end up gluing this to the top. But I'm thinking that I should have that in there just so that it keeps it spatial-wise situated. Okay. So that's cute. But it like, yep. Alright. We are going to wish that well and set it aside. We're not mess with it anymore because I feel like with me messing with it, I'm just gonna keep not making it work well. Alright, so our dominoes. Here is what we are going to do with them. This is where I wish I had my tool. St. Anthony, what'd you do with my tool? AKA, what did I do with my tool? Because we don't know. I hope like I didn't drop it down somewhere and not realize that it was that had fallen. Because that could have happened. That really well could have happened. Just gonna check a couple other places really quick. And then we may just have to deep sigh and go, okay, it's a lost cause. I might have to watch one of the last videos I did and see, like, did I leave it on my desk? And maybe be able to trace it that way. Just making sure it's not, like, stuck in my molds, stuck under something. I've got so many pairs of gloves on my desk. This is, like, ridiculous. Okay. Not in this one. Okay. Alrighty. Well, it's just not meant to be that I have it right now, right? That's what we're gonna go with. Okay. Moving on. So, our dominoes, the cool thing about these is we'll clean up the edges because there's some sharp pieces for sure. Definitely some sharp pieces. So we want to clean those up. And then we're going to dot them. And I have gone back and forth on gold or silver. We have a lot of silvery white areas, so I'm thinking gold might be our better option. And we're going to see which one is going to be the better. That's silver. That is gold. That has been opened. Okay. So this has never been opened. This is extra fine. It's a yellow, but I think it will work like it was gold. And it's got like a plasticky thing on it. Okay. So anytime you work with like paint pens and so forth, you do want to shake them. Make sure you have them shook up pretty good. Okay. And it's going to be a little bit of a trial and error. So this one, because I've never used it, you're just going to push down until your ink comes out. Possibly. And keep doing that. I smell it. Oh. That actually looks pretty decent. Okay, let's see what it looks like when we do this. Ooh, look how pretty. I kind of like that. It's pretty simple, pretty easy. I'm gonna have to do some cleaning of the edges. I'm determined to find that to burn tool. Y'all are gonna be tired of me saying it. I'm like, I need that tool. So, oops. Good news is I caught that in time. I could just wipe it right off. And it was in a spot that already had some gold, so it just hit it. So that's the key, is just round and round and then up to the edges, nice and easy. And then in this, it's just a matter of filling it in. And look how nice those look. I really like that. I think this other one would have been too thick. This is a very, very fine. I don't know if the camera's in focus, but it's very fine. And this is by Deco Color, extra fine. Oh, and it says liquid gold on it. I got this through Counterculture. I'm sure you can find this brand without them. But I had bought it while it was on sale, of course. You know me. Always on sale. Looking for a good find, a good buy. When I'm doing the circles, I can definitely tell like some paint pools in the bottom of the dots. But I know with it sitting here, that's going to dry right out. It's just going to take probably a little bit. So I'm not going to like touch them and such. We'll do a cleanup on them a different day. Just because I don't want to touch it while it's... I want to do the cleanup and accidentally just smear this paint all over. And my kitty cat is in here, one of them. She's clawing at me like, Mom, you're in here. You're supposed to love on me. I didn't kick her out because I wasn't doing resin. Pouring resin. So she's in here. She's like, love on me. Which is funny because she's the one that like doesn't usually like love. She's very like my oldest. Don't touch me. I'm like, it's okay. It's my oldest. It's cat anyway. It's funny how they take after their main humans. Because my oldest is very much like, don't touch me. Not a touchy-feely person. Not a hugger. That's this cat. She's like, only wants attention when she wants it on her terms. It's hilarious. So, but yeah, we're going, like I said, round and round. And up the edges here. This will take a little bit of time just because we have so many dots. But so might be a good time for a story of sorts, maybe. Could be. Oh, I'm just loving how classy those are looking, by the way. I don't know about y'all. Don't know about y'all, but I'm just really loving it. Well, let's tell a winter story from my childhood. How's that? Learn a little something about me and my childhood. So, my family was actually born in Colorado, and I think I've said that on a previous video, but in case you haven't seen all of my tutorials, which you should hit them up if you haven't. But, basically, I was born in Colorado, but I grew up 13 years of my life in Arkansas. So when I was 5, basically, we moved to Arkansas. So my dad got this job at a nonprofit that had like 1,000 acres in the middle of, honestly, nowhere, Arkansas. You know, you hear people say, oh, if you blink, you'll miss the town. No, for real. If you blink, you would have missed this town. And we didn't even live in quote-unquote town because we lived 2 miles down a dirt road in the valley. And it was 1,000 acres. So, a lot of wilderness, let's just say. So, lived there. And so my dad was working for this nonprofit. Oh, this pin like decided to try to come apart, but it went back together. Oh no, that's what I was worried about when it came apart. Okay. Oh my goodness, we're leaking. No. This pin was working so well until it failed us. Okay. It was like, I don't like where this story is going. Okay, let's not come all the way out. Okay. Yeah. Cool. Let's not do that. Thank you. I think it like got stuck in this groove. Is all I can figure. We'll keep trying and we'll see how we do. So anyway, so my dad was working for the nonprofit. My mom ended up getting a job as a bookkeeper for him, so forth. And my dad had many roles. When he started as one thing, and then the director left shortly thereafter, so then he became the director. And so he became instant director really fast, basically, and in charge of everything. And so it was a nonprofit that would bring students in, and they would like teach them sustainable living, which is pretty cool actually. And had dorms and this big conference center that was like massive, indescribable, in the middle of nowhere. So anyhow, when it would snow, like it would snow, and you couldn't necessarily get out of the valley because we lived 2 miles down the dirt road from the blacktop road, 2-lane blacktop, curvy, windy road. And we lived 2 miles down. The last mile was just downhill, windy downhill. So imagine, oh, dang it, keeps getting stuck in our grooves, and then pulling that out, and then trying to leak all over, and I don't want it to leak all over. This is like a mom story when you get interrupted 20,000 times, so I apologize. So anyway, when it would snow, there were times you would get stuck in the valley, and that was just part of it. And I grew up an only child for 13 years of my life, so I had to really entertain myself a lot of times, and because my parents were busy. And so, and I had a couple friends, and there was another family that had 2 girls. One was younger, one was older than me. So we would get to hang out, but they didn't live permanently in the valley, but their parents worked there at the nonprofit. So it was basically when they were down in the valley, I would get to see them, usually on like weekends, because they didn't go to public school. So anywho, this one year it snowed a ton, and I mean like a ton. Actually, we'll back up. The first year that we were there, it snowed quite a bit, and there was no getting out on the roads with a vehicle, like just not heard of. And we didn't have 4-wheelers or anything, so guess what? You're basically stuck. But we didn't have a sled at this time. And there's this huge hill next to our house. And my dad was like, we'll find something. So he found like this piece of plastic. I don't even know. I remember it was this like bright green plastic piece. And it had like one little like area where maybe you would grab a handle essentially. But then it laid flat. So we would get on it. My dad tried to tie a string around that piece, but I think the string would always just get sucked up underneath you as you were going down the hill. So we get on that. He got on, put me in front of him. Mind you, I'm like 5 or 6. And we go down the hill. Well, it's like pure ice. So like, how are we supposed to get up the hill? You know, but we managed, and that was a lot of fun. And he got these 2 sticks that he would use as our brakes. And then, like, I remember my mom got on it with me. It was so much fun. You know, as a kid, you don't wear out like you would as an adult. I would, like, die now because you went up and down. It's probably why my parents switched off of who was going up and who was going down kind of thing. That one was missing a little in the bottom, so clean him up. So, anyhow, that was a lot of fun. So that was 1 year. So already making memories. Well, then another year, it had snowed a ton. And so my parents had hiked to the conference center from the house. And they probably hiked up through the woods. There was like a shortcut if you didn't follow the road. And because it was snowed in the woods, it wasn't, you got traction because it wasn't all packed down like it would be if it was on the road and driven on. But anywho, at that point we had a runner sled, this wood runner sled. The runners were metal, of course, but the top was wood. So you think about a runner sled, you can steer. So my dad was like, I have this idea. We're gonna take the sled and we're gonna start basically up by the conference center by the basketball court, and we're gonna ride it as far as we can. And mind you, it's hilly, it's curvy, so forth. So we literally hop on And no joke, I wish I knew the distance, but of course as a kid you don't know the distance. And even now I couldn't tell you like what it was. But we go above the basketball court, we come down that hill, across the basketball court, and there's another hill, and we go down that hill. My dad steers us onto the road, which there was no cars. Like, everybody that lived in the valley was accounted for, basically. Nobody was driving their cars, so we weren't worried about that. And he turns us onto the road, and we hit the next hill, and he turns us. This was like the road that went to the conference center, and that road connected to the like main road that went through the valley. So he gets us onto the side road and then down to the main road that goes through the valley, turns us onto that, down that first hill that we rode on our green little sled a year or two prior. And then the road kind of flattens out and goes uphill, so you get stopped about there. Well, then of course now you gotta walk all the way back up. In my head now thinking, I'm like, it was probably 2-3 blocks worth of length. It was a ways. But oh my goodness, it was so fun. I don't know how many times we did it because we had to then walk back up. But I remember traipsing through the woods, taking the shortcut up the hill through the woods to one of the dorms to then be able to do it again. I don't even think we had snowsuits. Like 3 pairs of sweatpants on, 4 jackets. I don't know, but it was a ton of fun. That was a lot of fun. Him and I still talk about that one. It was like pretty crazy. I would love, my kids have a little hill that they've sledded on, and like if we go to my in-laws, there's a pretty decent hill to sled on, but nothing like what I experienced. I would love for them to experience something like that, you know, back in them good old days. I just wipe them where I splatter sometimes, y'all, so if you're seeing me do that. Okay, we're only like halfway through. I kind of feel like I should do all the dots and then worry about the lines, but I kind of like getting each one done as I go. So we'll keep rolling that way. Oh, look, the 0, the double 0. So that one's easy. Let's do it. So it's the line, because it's the line that's getting me. It gets stuck in it, and then I'm afraid that I'll explode my pen on everything. I will tell you another winter story. I was kind of bouncing around my childhood, but another time, this is when the nonprofit had actually closed its doors and the Humane Society bought the property. It's actually still owned by the U.S. Humane Society. And so, oh goodness, that exploded. And so anyhow, they had bought the property and the nonprofit had gone under. So basically everybody is going to lose their jobs and lose their housing. And so instead of losing your housing, you just had to do something on the property that was like sustainable living, essentially. So like our neighbors had the garden. They always ran the garden anyway for the nonprofit. So they were already doing like garden shares and going into town with, you know, the fruits of their labor and selling. So they were going to run a garden, continue to run a garden off the property so they could stay where they were living. So my dad got this crazy idea that we would raise all natural chicken, and that's how we got into the chicken business. So at one point, like my parents decided they would buy some acreage. Now, why they opted to buy 200 acres, I don't know, because that's a lot, but it kind of tells about my parents. They kind of would do things to the fullest. They do things to the fullest. My dad still somewhat, he's a little bit more reserved now. But yeah, they didn't do anything small, let's just say. So they bought 200 acres, and it was, as the crow flies, about 2 miles north of this 1,000 acres that we had been living on. But this is like a few years after we've been doing the chickens, so we have it all established at the one property, and now we're going to have to slowly move the entire farm to the new property. But again, my family can't do anything small, so not only did we buy 200 acres, it didn't have a home on it that was livable. It had this 1950s home that either would need to be torn down and a new homestead built, or renovated. Well, my parents opted to renovate it and expand it and so forth. So eventually we get moved there. And probably like the first year we're there, with this massive ice storm. And when I say massive, like it shut down our county for quite some time. We were stuck in the valley for 2 weeks. Luckily we had pantry of food and deep freezer full, so it's not like we were without stuff. And we still had water, but there were times we didn't have power during that time, but we had wood stoves, so it's like we had heat, and that was fine. So anyway, our neighbors could get out and up the valley due to having a 4-wheeler, so they were able to get out. And my dad had planned, and we parked a vehicle at the top of the hill. So again, we live 2 miles off the main road, the last mile. Even though this is at my parents' property, it's very similar. It was just the valley above the other one. So anyway, so we're stuck basically. But now chores still have to be done. Luckily, everything had been moved to this property at this point, because I can't imagine if we were trying to do this in 2 valleys. But chores still had to be done. But to get to where the chickens were in their little chicken houses was up a hill. And so this hill is like not very big. It was so small. But because it's literally a sheet of ice, we can't climb it. We can't walk up it. So we are like basically crawling up the hill to get ourselves out to take care of these chickens. You know, because you got to feed them, you got to water them, you got to make sure all these things they're taken care of. And we're running hoses from the house to the field to fill up. We had a brooder house which had heaters in it, so we'd fill up this huge barrel full of water in there, and it would stay unfrozen. To then fill 5-gallon buckets. And here's that runner sled again. So we take the runner sled, and my mom would put 2 5-gallon buckets on the runner sled. And she would aim me to the next chicken house that we needed to go to. So these were like big, think of like a greenhouse. They were like greenhouse houses, and we had 8 of them, I guess. 6 of them? 6, 7 of them? Maybe 8. Something like that. I don't really remember. Remember, I'm a teenager, so that stuff didn't matter to me. But she would aim me, and there was enough of a, like, downhill road to the next house that I could go from that main brooding house to any one of the other houses, and because it was just enough of a slope, basically, which is just crazy. So she'd aim me and go, okay, hop on. So the runner sled, 2 buckets of water, me behind, sitting there, aim me, and I would hope that I could stop in time in front of the brooder house. And so I get down, I would get there, and then we would go back to the brooder house where the feed was, and she'd put 2 bags of feed on top, and then I'd sit on top of those feed bags, and then same thing, aim me, and I would hope that I could stop. My dad decides he thinks that's fun. He's like, oh, that's so awesome, like, I want to try this. Now, he's had back injury since then, like, been behind a walker, had to relearn to walk, basically, essentially with his back, just because he messed it up really bad. So, you know, in his brilliance, he's like, but I want to try this. So we load him up with 2 sacks of feed, because with the feed, you didn't worry about, like, they're in sacks. So if it falls off, you know, you just pick up the bag and go on. If it splits open, it splits open. It's not the end of the world. Water sloshes. So, we like put these 2 bags of feed. Well, the problem is that this field is relatively flat, enough of a slope that you could go in and aim and move it so that you didn't have to try to navigate pulling it to the next chicken house. But fairly flat for a while, and then it goes over an edge that just drops down and goes into the lower part of the field. And so we put Dad on it because he's determined he's going to do this one. Aim him. Well, he doesn't try to stop, or if he tried to stop, he wasn't sure how to because of his back and trying to put his feet down. So here he goes. I'm screaming because I see him doing it. Screaming like that's going to help, you know, but I'm a preteen, so. And then he just goes over the edge. So that was fun trying to get him back up that hill, because that hill was pretty intense. And then back up on the main field. Because I'm telling you, the little hill from the house to the field was awful enough. One day it took my mom and I an hour just to get out into the field, when it should take literally 2 minutes walking. So you can imagine how bad it was. I mean, we put nails in our tennis shoes. Like, we ruined so many pairs of shoes trying to get up there. Put chicken wire around the bottoms of our shoes. I mean, anything and everything to try to help us get out there. It was awful. But memories. A lot of fun and memories. Growing up there, for sure. I have all kinds of stories like that. It's just crazy. I don't even think I finished because my little thing came out, but like when my dad had the green thing, he would get us, he had these 2 sticks to try to slow us down, but it would never really slow us down. We'd always end up crashing before we would come to a stop. We'd usually land in the ditch the way the hill went. So it's just funny. So yeah, that's a little bit of my crazy childhood. Probably a lot of my creativity comes from that I had to think of games and ways to entertain myself as a child without my parents. Because if they weren't busy with the nonprofit, they were busy, then we had the farm. And then when I was 13, right before I was 13, my sister was born. So then I became second mom to her because Mom was always doing chores. So I would end up, my sister was I guess I was a teenager when that happened, because the second one, because with my dad going off the edge, because my sister was born by that point. And oh man, it was crazy. Just crazy. She couldn't get out there because she's still too young, really. So she wasn't helping with the chores. So Dad normally was inside with my sister. But I think this one day maybe Mom was needing a break or something from the chores. So Dad was like, oh, I'll come help you. Plus it looks fun what you're doing. And I was like, are you sure? It's not easy. You gotta make sure you stop. He's like, oh, I can stop. It'll be fine. And then he laughed about it. Luckily, he didn't mess up his back bailing off the sled, because he did bail off the sled. I was like, oh my gosh, you bailed. You're gonna mess your back all up. All over again. He still has. He has to do certain exercises just to keep his back situated so that it doesn't, you know, once you've injured it, it's so hard. I always say the farm is probably why my back is more screwed up, because you know what? When you're lifting 50-pound feed sacks and 5-gallon buckets of water, I think, do we have an even amount? 3, 6, 7, 8, 11, 14, 15, 18, 22, 3, 4. I feel feel like 27 is like an odd number. Am I like crazy? Like, did I lose my deburring tool and not have the right amount of dominoes? Like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 21, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, oh, 28. Okay. Somebody was in the background screaming, "You miscounted." Like, I know, I'm sorry. I got off track. Didn't we make little somethings for my game? Yeah, they're in here. This has got another project on top, but that'll be another time. Okay, I was going to use this tool and write my, oh goodness gracious, my letters on them and just see. So I decided the letters have to be on the rough side because the back side here is so not noticeable. Whereas if you did it on the up, maybe you would see like one of the holes or something. Okay, so there's American. So we need an A. Let's see if this is going to work. I might need to use silver for these. Let's try silver because I feel like that is not. Oh, that's fine. Here's silver. Of course, I don't have a fine point in silver, so we'll have to use the thicker. That might be okay. Yeah, silver is better. Okay, so American. There is French. So French. German. Russian. This is for a game called Spy Alley, Russian. Spanish. Espanol. And Italian. I'm impressed that I remembered all 6. Wasn't sure I would be able to, but I did. Cool. I like it. I'll probably put some color. Then I want to do like a peg or something on here so that it's easy to pick up. And then you just like look at it and go, oh, okay, that's who I am. We'll see. Might work, might not. All right, let's check this one more time. Just to make sure we're not doing anything too extraordinarily funky. Which are not too bad. This one's bending in just a smidge. Not sure I can get it. Hey, I got it pulled back out. Which makes me nervous. Like, why hasn't that sealed? Why haven't you sealed and delivered? I think definitely gonna put some UV resin in here and seal that up really nicely. I'm like, let's not do it that way. Let's go this way. Yeah. See, that's gonna look so cool. That's gonna look so cool. I'm so excited. I'm thinking about doing some like real fine like veins with the gold. I don't know. Or the silver. Just because these like aren't as pretty as like the top is. I think the top is so cool. And the bottom is cool. but I don't know. We'll see. It's a good start, right? We'll see how that holds up and does. And then, yeah, let these dry as well. And we'll touch up anything that we think we need to. And we'll clean these up for sure. Hopefully I can find my deburring tool so that I can clean up those edges. And we'll seal with some UV resin. And then, yeah, that is pretty much it. This set will be ready to, oh, I don't know what I got over. Oh, there is mica powder on here. It'll wipe off. I was like, ew, what is that? It's like silver powdery weirdness. It's mica powder. So, anywho, but yeah, hope you guys are enjoying, and we'll see you again soon. Bye.